These days, Blue Origin has been battling with what is more than a nightmare. The company looks to be hitting its head on the rock with rocket engineering, but they haven't gotten it right. And the recent failure of the New Shepard rocket speaks volumes about the qualification of Blue Origin's engineers. They may not have the technical know-how to simulate faults from rocket engines, unlike SpaceX, which understands the precise path to get the Raptor engine fire up without flaws. So SpaceX knows what works, while Blue Origin may still operate on guesswork. Thus, everything now plays out like what Jeff Bezos is doing is a glorified amusement ride. Why is Blue Origin always failing, and why haven't they recorded much more success even though they've been in the space race before SpaceX? Let's find out in today's video. Come to think of it, Blue Origin company is 10 years older in the space business than SpaceX, and yet they've not managed to get into actual orbit, let alone send astronauts to the moon. But while rocket science doesn't look like a chaos play, does it mean Blue Origin is becoming a joke or a playing ground for rocket engine failures? Blue Origin's long-term goals include sending astronauts into space on New Shepard, developing liquid rocket engines that can be reused, creating an orbital launch vehicle using New Glenn, producing the next generation of space habitats, and landing astronauts back on the surface of the moon. These are imminent goals they're working hard to achieve, and also to manufacture rocket engines and sell them to other space companies. But are they really close to it? Well, their progress will tell better. But if that be the case, isn't it better they produce one engine, test it and fire it up to lower Earth orbit and make sure it works over and over again before being confident about producing engines other space companies will rely on to get to lower Earth orbit? Yeah, Blue Origin should actually consider this. Now, the big question is why a big company with a big investment can't be successful? Since Smith joined at the end of 2017, the company has continued to experience the hard side of engineering. Some of his employees have had trouble with how he leads. They have said that he makes slow decisions, making Blue Origin more like a traditional aerospace company than a space company that has been in business for over 10 years. But from Smith's point of view, he is trying to change Blue Origin's culture and make it run like a major space company that can go out and win big contracts from NASA and the Defense Department. There was a time when the United States and Russia were the only countries that could be called superpowers in space. But in the past 20 years, the space race has become a fight between two people worth billions of dollars and no longer between countries. Private companies like SpaceX and Blue Origin were being followed up by NASA programs. But Blue Origin seems to run sluggishly, and rating them successful is what we don't have a sight at the moment. Hence, their engineering ideas don't seem to work even after simulation. On April 29, 2015, the New Shepard rocket was launched from Texas by Blue Origin. The flight, which reached an altitude of 307,000 feet and was named after Alan Shepard, the first American to fly into space, would have been a success if not for one big problem, and that's about the rocket propulsion system. The rocket's propulsion system didn't work because the hydraulic system lost pressure. Rockets didn't have systems that could be used again, so this loss wouldn't have been a failure. But they wanted to make rockets that could be used more than once, so losing part of their rocket wasn't how things were supposed to go. The company then said that suborbital flight wouldn't be possible for a few years. In fact, they won't be able to get the New Shepard on track in the next 5 years. Not when the FAA currently has dozens of investigations with the company. On the other hand, Falcon 1's first test flight happened 4 years after SpaceX was founded. A fuel leak caused the flight to fail, but the spacecraft was finally put into orbit in 2008. After Falcon 1 proved that SpaceX could send rockets into space, it was taken out of service to make room for Falcon 9. Both Falcon rockets got their names from Star Wars. In June 2010, NASA's Cape Canaveral was used to launch the Falcon 9 on a mission that NASA helped pay for. Since then, SpaceX has flown it more than 80 times and is now considered a major player in modern space operations. Whereas Blue Origin seems to keep crawling like a tortoise, learning how to walk out things in the space game. In 2012, SpaceX sent the Falcon 9 on another flight that went well. The Dragon was sent to the International Space Station. It was the first time a private spacecraft was sent to the ISS on this mission, even though it could carry 7,000 pounds of things like clothes and food. After getting into orbit, the spacecraft took 3 days to get to the station to ensure all of its systems were working correctly. SpaceX still sends supplies to the ISS. Since its first successful trip in 2012, the company has made 24 such trips, and its 25th trip is planned for May 2022. SpaceX seems to have made more headway from all of these successful launches than Blue Origin is consistently getting rockets to outer space. But landing on Mars is what many are not sure SpaceX could make a dream come true at the moment. We also know that Blue Origin has engineers and technicians who are good at their work. They were ahead of other commercial competitors like Boeing and NASA in terms of time in the new commercial space industry. But why couldn't they catch up? We space nuts may not know what is happening inside Blue Origin's company right now, but the fact that engineers and technicians once left Blue Origin to work for other companies is alarming and calls for concern about how Blue Origin's structure might have fallen apart. And now we've heard that the BE-4 engine might not work as well as it should. No matter what age Blue Origin has operated in the space race without a proper countable success, they may be dreaming crazily to arrive at a successful outcome. The company's dream may come true if they keep dreaming and not folding their hands but working towards it with every effort. After all, everyone was once a dreamer, and the ability to keep dreaming and pushing hard got us to where we are today. Suppose the culture at Blue Origin has made them less creative, for instance, because of strict management or a lot of red tape. If so, that could be a problem, straining the company from the success path. We hope they'll figure out what's wrong and get things fixed. This leaves us with only one horse to pull heavier loads, either the Falcon 9 rocket or a lift from another country. We need more than one company to success in this space race. In the early stages of development, it looks like Blue Origin was more interested in space tourism than SpaceX was in going to other planets. But both companies have shown they can reach their goals, though Blue Origin is still working behind the scenes. SpaceX has quickly proven itself worthy of the space race in the space battle between titans. It's ahead of Blue Origin because it has done more missions, including one to the ISS, that have been successful. In fact, the upcoming missions of NASA's Artemis spacecraft show that SpaceX is the best private sector company in the world. Ultimately, the competition between these two companies have made space travel more interesting, a win for the human race. Jeff Bezos appears to remodel his space company like the older, slower-moving space companies we had during the days of the Soviet Union. The company enjoys spending investment capital that would be used to a better project, perhaps to pay staff or to pay the already incurred bills of the company, but for now, not so good at producing good rockets. And that brings us to a question like, what are Jeff Bezos' real priorities? Is it going to be space or making money? Both are important, but one can be given more priority than the other. After seeing Bezos in action, it seems like the founder of Blue Origin cares more about making money than going to space. If he really wants to go to space, he could put more effort into doing what he needs to do to make its rocket launches successful. Have you ever considered taking a trip to outer space? Which of these two companies would you choose for a lifetime trip? Before making your decision, take a look into Blue Origin BE-4 failure and its $1 million lost, which was a total disaster.